Oh, yeah, there we go. Properties. Headphones. Okay, that was weird. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Ro. Okay. In my defense, okay. The last time this happened where we completely lost audio, right? Last time this happened, Windows updated, and when Windows updated, it completely reset my default audio devices for everything, so that my defaults were just like nothing. So nothing was registered as my mic, and nothing was registered as my headset. Windows updated last night, so I checked that before stream, and I made sure that all my defaults were set properly. But instead, what happened is OBS itself forgot what my shit was. Fuck. Okay, so I guess this entire time I've been talking and no one's been hearing anything. Okay, so fuck. Yeah, I would say today's stream is going to be a bit sleepier by comparison to the fucking bullshit with Trepang. However, we're also going to be doing a detective focused stream. We are going to be focusing very heavily on crime solving and crime causing today, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Unless it isn't. Let's see. I really dislike Cybex. I'm not actually trying to talk to her. I'm just trying to see if she's. We need to interact with this lunatic in order to start the quest. I don't think we do. Yes, I don't know if anyone remembers, because this was quite some time ago now. But we went and we had a shower in our quarters, and then all of the water turned into blood, and that was kind of like, that was kind of inconvenient. Now we're trying to figure out, well, why, who swapped out all of the fucking water in our bath with human blood. Who did that? We got to figure that out. That's the current crime we're solving. We're gonna be solving multiple crimes today. Holy shit, that's a lot of people. Cabela. Cabela stands out clearly from the other officers in attendance, both for her favoring the full regalia of a member of the Bloodspun Web over formal attire, and for the empty space around her. The other attendees are keeping their distance, as if an air of mortal danger repels them from your companion. Oh, I forgot the date also takes place on this deck, so I guess we're doing this first. Yeah, this is awkward. Danrock, whose keen, worried gaze is locked on Cabela and whose mouth is stretched with the most courteous of smiles, gives you a hurried bow. Your lordship. Cabela. Dolman Valentine, you're here. Cabela sounds neither excited nor solemn. Her tone is indifferent as her fearsome metal claws clutch a slice of fruit from one of the plates. I see you found a delicacy that is to your liking? She smiles. Food like this is impossible to come by in the lower bays. I do not know what this is, but it tastes incredible. Juice is dripping down her fingers and hand. It seems she's the only one here who has not lost her appetite. The officers' faces have turned into pale, alarmed masks, and none of them is in a hurry to enjoy the feast. Well, how are you? I feel wrong. Strange people, strange sounds and gestures. Cabela lets out a sharp breath. Her gaze becomes vacant and her hand reaches for the table knife. I am losing myself in this whirlpool. Grasping the knife, she begins to carve lines into the expensive wooden tabletop. A nervous murmur runs through the crowd. Their tense gazes are locked into the harmless-looking, barely sharpened metal utensil in the hand of the cultist of the Bloodspun Web. Persuasion 100%. Smile at Camilla. I see you have already mastered the art of commanding attention. You seem to be quite in your element. She blinks in surprise and looks up at you. She glances back and forth, seemingly privy to the meaning of your words. And then her clear, genuine laughter fills the room, startling everyone around her. I suppose that's true, Doman Valentine. I will not fluster your subjects further. Camilla glances at the maze that she has inscribed and sighs. Whenever I lose my thread, whenever I am forced to stray by the outside world, I return to the labyrinth, and it has all the answers. My meditation helps in finding my way out. I regain myself and praise the righteousness of serving the Undying One. Well, how do you like the ceremonies on the upper decks? I am attempting to peer through the florid shell to the core, yet it continues to elude me. Camilla looks you in the eyes. What is the purpose of this ritual, Doman Valentine? Explain it to me. Is it camaraderie, gratitude, or power? It's about gratitude. You praise the service with a feast. Does one merit gratitude for doing what their duty commands? Would these people act differently without your show of appreciation? I hope that is not the case. I am too conspicuous beside the rest of your servants. Capella looks at the other guests, and they quickly avert their eyes. A fitting mask. That is what is required for a ritual like this. I came unprepared. It will not happen again. I sense that this gathering was a terrible mistake. High Factorum Janus Danrock. Danrock sighs heavily and looks down. Cabela, why? You have looked behind the curtain at my existence, and now I have looked at yours. Cabela stares at you intently. I do not think that we have heard all the words that should have been spoken here today. Is it because you do not wish to say them in front of witnesses? I grow weary of the crowd. Take a walk with me. I also just didn't want to tell her that her outfit was inappropriate, but I guess I should have. Camilla avoids your gaze as the two of you walk away from the other guests. She seems calm, but the slight tremble running down her right hand betrays her agitation. Once you're alone, she looks straight at you. I discerned what you're doing here, and I know that you're calling it a ritual was a ruse. True rituals are constant, immutable, like the cycles of the cooling machines in the ship's bowels, or the shifts in the bay's servants. This was spontaneous, something you prepared just for me, and then you stayed at my side the entire time. Now here you are, granting me yet another request. Why is that? What do you mean, why? There is no place for idle benevolence, neither along your thread nor along mine. Cabella's eyes seem almost to glow in the dark. Yet you offer me attention and privileges that are both undeserved and unnecessary. Why? Welcome back, bro. I'm good. I'm a bit tired. But otherwise I'm good. Very chill. I have come to value your company. That's why. Her eyes widen slightly. So that's how it is, Doman Valentine. She suddenly looks away. A smile touches her lips. When you asked me if I wanted to look at the rituals of your world, I was not entirely candid with my answers. Yes, to see the Doman's world is a priceless gift, but what I truly wished for was to see it with you. She gives you a searching look, narrowing her eyes. What do you think, Doman? Has your blade failed you? Aww. But how's the rah-rah? Also, Camilla is so adorable when she's not stabbing people in the throat. Let's see. I don't think I want to encourage her to lie, because that is So one of the things that makes her romance line interesting is that she is the embodiment of I can fix her, I can make her worse, and she can ruin me. It is all three at the same time. Like, you can take this in either of those directions if you want to. You can take the weird fucking schizo cultist and you can do your best to make her into a normal person, or you can try and make her more fucking crazy and batshit, or you can have her make you crazy and batshit. And all three are viable options in this romance line, and it's kind of cute. It's very interactive. Little drunk? Ooh, what are you drunk on? Alright, let's see. I'm not really sure if I want to encourage her to lie. I think if I encouraged her to lie this early on, it would just be off-putting since she's... No, she's already loyal as fuck. I don't think she's capable of losing interest. Beer. Beer's nice. What are you thinking, Raw? I don't think there's enough people here for us to be running a poll right now, but... Between dialogue option 2 and 3, what are you thinking? Because I genuinely can't decide. That is the first time you've been honest with me about your desires, to see your sincerity. That is the true priceless gift here. Or, lean closer. Never regret an action that has given you what you want. You and I are here alone. What does one little lie matter? Like, do we try to encourage her to be more assertive, or do we just tell her that we like her? No worries. No worries. I guess in that case I'll just try to decide on my own. Jeez. What are the options? Okay, so we're flirting with Cabela, right? Our crazy goth girl. And we have the option to tell her that her sincerity is priceless and we appreciate it. Or we can tell her that it's fine that she lied and deceived me because she tried to get what she wanted, and that's what really matters. Anything is a means to an end is fine. So we can either encourage her to be aggressive and assertive, or we can just let her know that she's loved, even if she does things she shouldn't be doing. And it's kind of like, depending on how we encourage her, the relationship will shift in a bit, from what I understand. So I'm not really sure what would be the better option here. Three? Sure. Cabela freezes. Your words ring with danger, Doman. She brings a hand to your neck and slides it down, but I can understand why you would think thus. Such is the Doman's destiny, the burden of power, the burden of living as a predator. Oh, jeez. Okay, now we can kiss, bang, or just say that we want another date. This is very forward. Like, this is aggressively forward. I don't think she says no if you try to sleep with her, though. I don't think she can say no. Like, literally. You're all in? Alright, we're going number 2. We're gonna bang the goth girl. Then take me there. You can barely hear Cabela's voice as she speaks your name plainly for the first time. Because I think it's worth keeping in mind, right? Cabela is your... Like, she basically swore her life to you. She's even made it clear that, like, in a circumstance where her own faction is like, it's time for you to die, She'll fight to the death to protect you, even against her own people, against her own orders.
Intimacy from what I expected.
Uh-oh.
Discovering new sides to you.
What did she expect? Wait. Camilla draws a finger across her pale skin, tracing a long, fluid line from the curve of her hip to the sharp ridge of her clavicle. Through the pattern of ritual wounds and battle scars, we have gained knowledge of one another, Valentine. Through the revelation of the flesh, we have spun a stronger spiritual bond between us. Do you feel it? We have certainly become closer. This pleases me. I believe this is but one of the first of many revelations we will receive. She stretches languidly on the bed. Each new encounter promises the opportunity to know you better and to reveal myself to you. We will explore our bodies and souls to attain total unity. Oh jeez. How did you enjoy the evening? Camilla's eyes drift closed. Yes, it was a new sensation. Every moment with you was replete with meaning. Empty lust would not grant such depth of feeling. Aww. I didn't know physical intimacy held any interest for spinners. The blood-spun web does not encourage the pleasures of the flesh, but nor does it forbid them. A spinner is free to enjoy carnal love, but what draws them to it is usually curiosity rather than passion. Or a special feeling, a sacred feeling that must not be sacrificed to assess us. Well, we had other things to do. And I must spend some time alone. I must traverse the labyrinths within new knowledge of us. Camilla's so adorable. Goods. What's over here? Unfinished letter. His chagrin is irrelevant. Voigtvir's mistake cost me too much. Years of work, tremendous resources, all wasted. He's failed at what he's supposed to be. Irreproachable at uncovering spies. And this one was a senior officer. I am not about to discard him. Conrad has served me for too long for his removal to go painlessly for the Protectorate. Besides, he's no fool. He cannot have seriously expected to become the next in the Von Valancius line when his skills and talents as Master of Whispers are so valuable. Let his disinheritance serve as a humiliating yet instructive lesson from which he may learn. Cracked data slate. The final transaction of the chartist are complete. The fiery reckoning is now fully equipped. The object has been loaded aboard with its containment intact and placed in the forward bay to ensure maximum contact with the target. Coordinates sent to and received by the bridge. Target estimate time of arrival in the system. The fiery reckoning is crewed by Servitor Hive. Chances of ship returning are minimal. Estimated time. Interesting. Anyway. We get slightly distracted there, but what happened to I press the spot? Oh, wait, there's a secret here? We're getting a little distracted today, it seems. What's hidden here? The adaptive hemofilter. Using combat stimulants does not inflict negative effects. Okay. User gains 3 stacks of Ferrum Sanctum. Inflicts bleeding, burning, and toxin in an AoE. Let's read more into this. That's actually really interesting. User removes bleeding, burning, and toxin, but you suffer damage from it. Yeah, that's actually really useful, because that will really buff up Cabela as an assassin. Actually, no. It would only really she'd only really care about that, I think, if she was an executioner who, because executioners really like dots being on people. But I made her an assassin this time around. So I guess it won't be that useful. Never mind. Never mind. All right, back to murder investigations. Let's go to another compartment. To the officer's deck again. Jostaka Sourback. Sourback barks at the enforcers gathered before you. His lordship, the rogue trader, wishes to handle the investigation personally. Lord Captain, the three officers before you have been tasked with conducting the investigation. The first, Captain Klain, is a veteran with a record of quelled upbringings of mutant abominations in the colonies. Captain Ginvert is young, but she has already preempted several mutinies among the ship's rabble. Lastly, there is Captain Hrotko. His interrogation skills deserve credit, and he knows how to instill fear and respect firmly in the minds of the riffraff. You notice the enforcers exchange a few astounded glances and throw their shoulders back. Apparently, they're not used to standing so close to figures such as renowned as you. Abelard. After carefully assessing the officers' bearing on their uniforms, Abelard nods with satisfaction. Their drilling is good. Their service records are excellent. Let's see how they perform in the field. What are your findings thus far? We have discovered a worker's corpse, mutilated and desiccated. We're still looking into the man's identity and position, but the Trojan's report has confirmed that among all the blood that is pumped into your bath chamber, the blood-carrying mutations was indeed his. The workers from the nearby decks have all been checked for genetic aberration, but the mutations identified are within the norm of the laboring masses. They are being rounded up for interrogation as we speak. Eogun. Yes, Nuncius. That is a decent hypothesis. Eogun nods with an intent look. I suppose a thorough examination of the autopsied body and determining the dead man's family ties would help to narrow down the suspects and avoid entropy multiplication. Rudimentary checks may not be enough. Even taking into account the neighboring decks only, this constitutes hundreds of people. How do you plan to question them all? Sauerback. Our interrogation techniques are broad and varied. However, nothing loosens the tongue like corporal punishment, beatings, mutilations, torture, public executions. Sauerback almost purrs as she lists ways of making people suffer. When combined with psychological pressure, such methods work wonders. It is inhumane. I urge you to immediately cease using these barbaric methods. Lord Captain, these methods may be brutal, but the effectiveness has been proven over centuries of practice. No criminal will confess if you ask them politely, but if you shatter their finger and courteously remind them how many unshattered bones they still have left in their body, that is a different conversation altogether. That is how the truth is born. I have faith that my master at arms is capable of finding other methods of seeking out the truth. Sauerback's glove creaks as she grips her maul. Her gaze remains cold and calm. As you command, Lord Captain. Do you have any working theories? Enforcer Klein. The mutants are plotting. Klein spits in disgust. They've been breeding like void rats, so they're getting cocky. Must have wanted to infect your lordship with their plague. Enforcer Ginevri. It wasn't an attempt on the Lord Captain's life. It was a threat. The rabble are planning to revolt. No, they're planning to terrorize us. Soon you'll drown in blood. Insurgents pride themselves on such metaphors. Sauerback. Meanwhile, Captain Rothko is convinced that it was the works of Voigtver's surviving cultists. However, I believe this to be a warning rather than a threat. What we need to establish is who is trying to warn us, and of what. Well, what do you propose we investigate first? The body. Once we have ascertained the dead man's identity, we'll be able to locate his associates and narrow down the number of suspects. Captain Klein is in charge of examining the corpse. Enforcer Klein. The body was discovered on a suspended platform, not far from the room was the artillery sphere. Take a left once you're out of the mess hall, your lordship, and go along the balcony. The corpse is on the next platform. After the one holding the Infernus Guild suspects, I'll show you around the scene. I'll show you around the scene once you're there. Infernus Guild suspects? Yes, your lordship. They are undergoing interrogation like all the rest. The scum refused to comply, so they were isolated on a separate platform. The Inferni are a rotten bunch. They must be involved in this. The captain spit contemptuously. Then let us begin. My people are at your disposal, Lord Captain. Alright. Let's level up our EO gun real quick. Weapon skill. And you can have Medicaid.
Follow the threads.
Captain is bursting with treatises, codes, and statues on the practice of sailing a void ship.
Let's proceed, Lucius.
Let's see. Yeah, enforcers being assholes. Very nice. The annoyed enforcer grips the handle of his baton furiously every time the serf fails to answer his question, but he holds himself in check. Good. I have orders to follow on that, but submit to any interrogation. This is a clear abuse of authority. You're acting suspiciously, officer. First you deny involvement, then you try to escape. Let's adjourn to the interrogation room, where will I have to use force? I certainly have the authority to do so. Then we got the art transcriptor. That's actually really funny that that's a position. Reminds me of fucking witch hunters in Warhammer Fantasy, where it's like you can accuse someone of arch heresy. It's like, oh fuck, not arch heresy. That's like normal heresy, but worse. Technomant. Let's see. Nothing of note here. We got the engine spheres. Investigation procedures. Okay. Servitor. Quiet humming of the servo motors is occasionally interrupted by clicking coming from somewhere within the servitor. Huh. Ever protects, yep.
Light of terror, guide our way.
Enforcer Genevre. You are obstructing the investigation, esteemed tech priest. I require the information stored by this machine spirit. If you refuse to cooperate... Tech priest Androvidas fee. Petition rejected. A malady has befallen the machine spirit of the honored master of the cogitator, Iota IIB. Unauthorized anguish will worsen its condition and impede treatment. I will not stand for such acts of brutality against the Great Elder. I'll show you brutality, you blasted Gog. What's going on here? Genevre. The greatly esteemed tech priest, Andromeda Fee, does not seem to realize the importance of the investigative action and refuses to grant anyone access to the Master Cogitator. Tech priest. Andromeda Fee's Macandrite creak as they bow before you. Exalted ruler of the vessel, I mean not to harm, but to protect. I merely care for the machine spirit's health. It has fallen ill of late, and now its temper is worse than ever. If the laywomen starts torturing it now, the venerable spirit may take offense and leave us forever, taking the logs of the lay people's toils with it. This must be prevented. Pascal, this statement is true. The incident catalog on this vessel contains no less than 12 instances of grievous loss of data due to disrespect shown to the machine spirit by unauthorized units. Genevre, why do you seek access to the malfunctioning cogitator? Enforcer, the work logs are on it. They might contain important information that will lead us to our suspect. Tech priest Andromeda Fee. Andromeda Fee's vox explodes in a furious Benharic roar. This layperson does not even know what she intends to inquire of the Blessed Elder. Blasphemous disrespect. I have faith that the two of you can come to an agreement. The menacing crack of Genevre's knuckles and a venomous hiss of Andromeda Fee's vox suggest that such faith is misplaced. I must see to other matters. The two offer a maternly bow before immediately resuming their tempestuous argument. Alright, let's save here.
The web beckons.
I believe down here there should be... Yeah, here's Klein. Let's go say hi to him real quick. The desiccated body was horribly mutilated. What was once a face is now shapeless mats of flesh and bone shards. The worker's ruined body lies in a waxen pile on the platform. His face is crushed, his throat open, and his body riddled with cuts and lacerations. Above it stands Captain Klein, the dim light filling the lines on his forehead with shadows that lead down his furrowed brows into the pits of his eyes. The scalpel in his hand trembles faintly. It might look human, but what's inside is all wrong. Unholy, irredeemable, wrong. Have you started the autopsy yet? I have, but... The furrows on the enforcer's face deepen. I'll get back to it in a moment, your lordship. Is something the matter? You look pale. Klein hesitates, avoiding your gaze. I suppressed a dozen mutant revolts on Dargonus for Lady Theodora. I've torn the freaks to pieces myself, but to open one up, to sink my hands into their impure guts and infested with the mutant blight. I have seen this aberration utterly pervert the human form. The thought of it touching me, disgusting, infuriating, but I will overcome this. Abelard, you will indeed, Captain. If you like, I can recite a few paragraphs from the regulations to enthuse you. Willpower 95%. Hand me that scalpel. I'll perform the autopsy. You record the findings. Willpower test succeeded. The skin and bones part, and the stench of rancid meat hits your nostrils. Klein empties his stomach over the deck railing, fighting the urge to vomit yourself. You peer at the vile mass of subhuman entrails. Vestigial, ingrown arms wrap around what looks like vile semblances of familiar organs, interlaced with scaly, bile-colored sacs. Oh, what is this? Your knowledge of Xenos is enough to infer that the murdered man may have been subject to Xeno influence. True human form has not simply been distorted, but mixed with something strange, something profane. It is as if you're dissecting a seed that should have evolved from something more complex and alien. Argenta reflexively raises her weapon when she sees the mutant's rotten insides. The fiery rage in her eyes seems capable of incinerating the abomination as thoroughly as any flamer. Eogun. The Manipulus's entire face lights up with enthusiasm. Eogun's mechandrites extend towards the mutant's abdomen with perfect precision, bristling with needles and lancets. What a fine specimen of genetic corruption, Nuncius. Take notes. All these changes are by no means random. They have structure and inherent evolutionary purpose. Metamorphosis has been planted within him, but of what kind? Indeed, Nuncius, Xeno's origin is highly probable. Medicae, inspect the wounds. Judging by the damage, the most brutal wounds were administered posthumously, over the top of those inflicted while the victim was alive. It is as if someone deliberately wanted to make it harder to identify the victim and his cause of death. The truth is, the killer acted quickly and with surgical precision, then suspended the body upside down to drain its blood. Continue. Rogue trader, I conclude we are being deceived. The soft tissue damage was inflicted post-mortem, masking the true cause of death, a stab wound between the ribs that severed the aorta. Immediate death, a strike of such clinical precision could rival my own mechandrites. Investigate the entrails. Lore Imperium test failed. The twisted abnormalities of the mutant's insides make you wonder if he can even be considered human at all. As you probe deeper, your hand finds something lodged in the victim's gullet. Someone has stuffed a black feather in the man's throat. It's difficult to say why. It could be meant as a symbolic gesture or perhaps a message. Argenta. And the righteous woman prayed to the master, beseeching him to reveal who had plotted to destroy her. And he heeded her call. And the feather of a raven sprang from the maiden's mouth, and as if guided by his hand, brought forth the names of those who had nurtured foul treachery in their minds. The legend of Saint Quirine, verse 15. It is a sign, Valentine. Look for identifying marks. With some difficulty, you're able to discern a mark on his neck, almost ruined by the wound across his throat. It is a tattoo of a skull with a valve in its mouth, and a string of letters and numbers encircling it. SP-24601. Toss the scalpel away. I have finished the autopsy. Enforcer Klein, the enforcer offers you a rag soaked in disinfectant. That was foul. Your lordship, I must commend your fearlessness and insight, and apologize for my weakness of spirit. My shameful fear prevented me from doing my duty. It will not happen again. Abelard, shame on you, Captain. An officer's duty is to be support to the Lord Captain, not the other way around. If that burden is too great for you, you should consider resigning. I speak plainly, veteran to veteran. A modicum of sympathy is buried deeper than the Sinistral's ruthless words. He has a tattoo on his neck, a skull with a valve and a few symbols. Enforcer Klein, that's a symbol of the Pipe Warden clan that maintains the sewer systems. The SP stands for Senior Pipe Warden, followed by his identification number. Ginevra is working on the work log cogitator. She can use it to learn the victim's name from his number. The cogitator is in the nearest maintenance room. Okay. Someone tried to conceal the victim's identity and cause of death. Klein takes a closer look at the precise wounds you indicated, almost undetectable beneath the mutilation. You have a keen eye, your lordship, but why would someone do that and leave the body in plain sight? Why would they have just not just have disposed of it? There must be something more to this whole bloody business. Bloody business. You turn your attention to the floor around the corpse. There's no splatter, no gobs of flesh, no fleshy, bloody footprints fortuitously trailing into the dark, and yet, there's no way to butcher a corpse like that without getting dirty at all. Someone stuffed a feather down his gullet, but why? Feather? A raven feather? It's hard to come by on a ship. I'll investigate where it came from. Maybe it's the legend of St. Quirin. Well spotted, your lordship. No doubt you have already reached the same conclusion. But I will state it for the official record. Vile mutants do not make allusions to saints. This was someone versed in the creed. That will do, Captain. We all have our foibles. The enforcer dips his head deferentially. You've been a model of fearlessness and competence. I will aspire to follow your example. Yeah, good. Alright. Oh. I got a notification, but what is it? A scrap of human flesh with jagged edges is stuck to the back. Huh. You notice a few drops of blood that have somehow managed to avoid being trodden on. The blood does not appear all that fresh, but it is not fully dried yet either. Oh. The interrogation transcripts are strikingly redundant. They record everything from the direction of the questioned person's gaze to the length of the pauses between their answers. A lifted Lord Captain's... Oh, we already saw that one. You notice a few drops of blood that have somehow managed to avoid being trodden on. The blood does not appear all that fresh, but it's not fully dried yet either. The vents are clogged with synthetic fabric, probably some kind of homemade insulation. Clicking. Okay.
Carry the Emperor's will as your torch.
Clicking. If I remember, this quest is really annoying because it's really easy to unintentionally fail. Just because of weird technicalities in, like, skill checks and shit. And I'm worried I might have already failed it. In fact, I'm so worried. Let's just reload real quick. Let's just reload. We're just going to spam through the things we already did and just make sure that we don't fail anything along the way. It's very awkward. I don't mind failing things, but I'd like it so that if I fail something, it's more deliberate than, like, a random one-off skill check in some random corner of a level. Alright. Just bounce through this real quick. Willpower. Okay. Skip. Okay, we succeed. Medicae. We succeed. Period. We succeed. Twisted abnormalities of the mutant's insides makes you wonder if you can even be considered human at all. As you probe deeper, your hand finds something lodged in the victim's gullet. Something is stuffed a black feather into the man's throat. A certain legend springs to your mind, one involving St. Quirin, who is granted importance to the enemies hiding among the faithful. When Quirin prayed to the superior, the emperor, for the sign that might reveal the traitors, a raven's feather burst out of her mouth to describe the names of the conspirators. Only someone versed in the symbology. Yes, okay, so that's the sin. It's just the only thing that changed there was that Argenta had the revelation instead. Okay. I think then that was fine. But what's bothering me is that when we follow this,
We should deal with this.
it should lead to finding something, if I recall. But we didn't. I think we failed the skill check.
This ocular implant.
So we're gonna try this one more time. Save again, just to be sure.
I better myself through my
Someone has shoved a tattered and bloodied synth coat into the vent. Such garments are included in every enforcer's uniform. Yeah, there we go. We did fail a skill check. Okay. Yeah, that's what we were looking for there.
road that we take.
The enforcer and the tech priest hold their bickering while in your presence. Clearly this amnesty will not last. We need to investigate the cogitator in order to obtain information about a certain pipe warden. Tech priest Androvida Fee, ruler of this vessel, why do you insist on interrogating an elderly soul when it is such a miserable state? You're making a mockery of the omniscience tenets and the privileges of the priesthood of Mars. Pascal sucked some sense into her. Pascal, as Engine Seer Prime of this vessel, I hereby lift a ban on interaction with the machine spirit that has been afflicted by a tech ailment of unknown category. I grant this layperson right to access the Master Cogitator Iota IIIB under my careful supervision for the purposes of procuring knowledge and establishing truth. Androvida Fee's vox squeals piteously as she bows. The identity of the Engine Seer Prime is confirmed, privileges granted. I petition for the well-being of the machine spirit to be given with utmost priority. At your approach, the lumens on the Master Cogitator's bulky hull light up peevishly, and the cooling filters breathe an exasperated sigh. The machine spirit appears to be in a rotten mood. In the name of upholding the blessed axiomatics, I am initiating the accompanying tech service. Pascal's mechandroids writhe like snakes in a sacred dance. One of them reverently docks with the Cogitator's data port. O calculating machine spirit, blessed in omniscience, luminous in the darkness of ignorance, may the regalia be revealed. May the prayers of access be said. May these restrictive circuits be removed. The Cogitator lets out a serene sigh of dust from its ventilation grate. Courteously introduce yourself by inputting your data to show respect for the machine spirit. After an unnecessarily long verification process, the Cogitator recognizes the possibility that you may indeed be the ship's Lord Captain. A string of technolingua on the vid screen tells you that you may now input your request. Humbly ask for the data on the toils of the ship's workers. Beside itself with anger, the Cogitator sprays you with sparks. As its vid screen dims and flickers, you hear a spiteful word, find yourself staring at an incomprehensible mess of symbols. Apparently the spirit refuses to comply